the morning.
Welcome back to our channel, fellow daytime drama fans. Today is a fantastic Friday, and we have a massive update to discuss regarding the latest explosive events in Genoa City. The suspense has been off the charts, and we are diving right into the heart of the action. I am literally shaking right now. I cannot believe they finally did it. I mean, I was sitting here on my couch screaming at the television screen like an absolute lunatic. Jack Abbott is finally awake, and he just dropped the biggest bombshell of the entire year right in the middle of Genoa City Memorial Hospital. I have been watching since 2015, and this is honestly the best thing they have done in months. We have been waiting and waiting for this exact moment, and the writers actually delivered a payoff that was worth all the agonizing suspense. I am typing this up so late at night, right after watching the episode, because I just have to get all these feelings out of my system before I explode. Am I the only one who thought they were going to drag this out for another 6 months? Because I totally thought we were in for a long, painful ride. But let us just back up for a second, because my mind is running a mile a minute. So we have Patty Williams playing the ultimate victim card. She is standing there in the hospital, probably still wearing those stolen medical scrubs from her failed toxic syringe assassination attempt, acting like she is the innocent little bird who was just trying to help. I mean, the audacity of this woman. She literally stabbed Jack, left him bleeding out on the dining room floor of the Abbott mansion, framed Diane Jenkins for the whole thing, and then had the nerve to stand in his hospital room and cry fake tears to the police. I was so disgusted watching her spin this twisted narrative to Detective Burrow, and the worst part is that the police were actually buying it. And can we talk about the Genoa City Police Department for a minute? Because I am sorry, but they are the most incompetent police force on the face of the planet. How many times are they going to let Patty Williams manipulate a crime scene? I know Paul Williams is her brother, and there is a lot of complicated history there, but come on. Detective Burrow was standing right there, listening to Patty blame Diane, and he was just eating it up. He was ready to lock Diane up and throw away the key for 2 counts of attempted murder. I was pulling my hair out watching Diane desperately try to prove her innocence while Patty just smirked in the corner. It was infuriating. So the hospital room is packed. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a butter knife. You have the Abbott family huddled around, absolutely terrified that Jack is going to slip into a long-term coma. Kyle is standing there looking like he has not slept in 3 weeks, which he probably hasn't because he has been playing bodyguard trying to stop Patty from injecting his dad with poison. Diane is hovering nearby, totally desperate and terrified that she is going to spend the rest of her life in a prison cell for a crime she did not commit. And Patty is just laying it on thick, weaving this massive web of lies for the cops, claiming Diane is a monster who lost her mind. Then it happens. The monitors start changing their rhythm. There is this subtle shift in the room. Jack's eyelids start fluttering. I stopped breathing. I literally stopped breathing. Jack suddenly jolts awake. His eyes open, and he is looking around the room, taking in all the faces. You can see the confusion at first, and my heart just sank because the spoilers had been teasing that Jack might have temporary amnesia. I was dreading it. I was sitting there thinking, oh great, he is not going to remember a thing and Patty is going to get away with this for another year. Wait, I am getting ahead of myself. Let me set the scene properly. Jack is weak. He is hooked up to a million machines. He has tubes everywhere, and he can barely keep his eyes open. He looks terrible, which is to be expected since he just survived emergency surgery after massive blood loss. The doctors said he was fighting for his life, hanging by a thread. But his eyes lock onto Patty. The change in his expression was pure television gold. You could see the exact second the memories flooded back into his brain. He remembered the knife. He remembered the attack. He remembered her crazy eyes as she talked about them being together in the afterlife. And then he does it. Jack Abbott, barely able to breathe, slowly lifts his weak, shaking arm. He points his finger straight at Patty Williams. He does not point at Diane. He points directly at Patty. And with whatever tiny bit of strength he has left in his lungs, he croaks out her name. He identifies Patty as the person who stabbed him, right there in front of the police, in front of Kyle, in front of Diane, and in front of Patty herself. I screamed. I cheered. I knocked over my bowl of popcorn and I do not even care. The look on Patty Williams' face in that moment is something I will cherish forever. The color completely drained from her cheeks. Her entire fake victim persona just shattered into a million pieces right there on the linoleum floor of the hospital room. She went from playing the innocent, traumatized bystander to looking like a cornered rat in a matter of 2 seconds. Stacey Haiduk, or whoever is playing her right now, deserves an Emmy just for that singular look of absolute terror. She knew she was caught. Her master plan to frame Diane and eliminate Jack so they could be together in the afterlife was completely destroyed by one weak finger point. So the police instantly pivot. Detective Burrow finally wakes up and realizes he has been played like a cheap fiddle. The GCPD officers lunge forward and grab Patty. The sound of those handcuffs clicking around Patty's wrists right there in the hospital room was the most satisfying sound I have ever heard on this show. They arrested her on the spot for attempted murder. No airport chase, no escaping into the night, no hiding out in a random cabin in the woods. They got her right there, surrounded by the family she tried to destroy. I am so relieved I could cry. I almost felt bad for Patty for a split second because she is so sick. But wait, no, I do not. She is a monster who knew exactly what she was doing. I know some people in the forums are actually complaining about this. I know some fans are loving the idea of a long, drawn-out amnesia storyline where Patty manipulates a brain-damaged Jack. I have seen the comments of people saying they wanted Diane to suffer in jail a little longer for the drama, but personally, I am so incredibly thankful the writers did not go that route. We have suffered enough. Jack has suffered enough. Diane has suffered enough. We needed a win, and having Jack wake up and instantly clear his wife's name was the exact kind of fast-paced, flute-laced payoff this show desperately needed to keep us hooked. Let us talk about Diane for a minute because her reaction was everything. The pure relief that washed over her face when Jack pointed at Patty was so emotional. I mean, Diane is no saint. We all know her history. Remember when they tried this fake death storyline with Diane back in 2011? She faked her own murder, used a morgue body, framed Nikki Newman, and let Kyle mourn her for a decade. Yeah, that was awful. And it is exactly why the police were so quick to believe Patty's frame job now. Diane's past makes her the perfect scapegoat. But this time, she was actually innocent. She was genuinely fighting to save Jack, sneaking around the hospital in a hoodie just to check on him. Seeing her finally vindicated by the man she loves was a really powerful moment. Let us dive a little deeper into Diane's mental state right now, because the psychological trauma she just endured is off the charts. Imagine being locked in a shady clinic by a corrupt doctor, fighting your way out, rushing home to save your husband, only to find him stabbed and bleeding on the floor. And then, the police slap handcuffs on you. Diane has spent years trying to prove to Kyle and Jack that she is a changed woman. She has worked so hard to rebuild her life in Genoa City, to earn back the trust of the Abbott family, and to show everyone that she is not the manipulative schemer she used to be. For Patty to swoop in and almost successfully frame Diane for attempted murder must have felt like a literal nightmare coming to life. Diane was facing the very real possibility of spending the rest of her life behind bars, completely separated from Kyle and Harrison. The sheer terror she must have felt during that police interrogation with Detective Burrow is unimaginable. So when Jack woke up and pointed that finger at Patty, he did not just save Diane from prison, he saved her entire redemption arc. He validated her. He proved to the world, and to the police, that Diane was telling the truth. That moment was the ultimate proof of Jack's love and trust in her. It is going to solidify their marriage in a way that nothing else ever could. And poor Kyle. Am I the only one who thinks Kyle needs a year of intense therapy after this week? That poor guy walked into his own home and found his father bleeding out on the dining room floor. Then he had to hide his mother because she was a wanted fugitive. Then he had to physically stop a deranged Patty from injecting his comatose dad with a toxic syringe. Kyle has been the absolute MVP of this entire storyline. He never stopped believing in his mother's innocence, and he never left his father's side. The relief Kyle must be feeling right now, knowing his dad is awake and his mum is cleared of all charges, is immeasurable. I just want to give Kyle a massive hug. But wait, we cannot forget about the other villains in this mess. What is going to happen to Dr. Lawrence Markham now? That shady, corrupt, absolutely despicable doctor backed up Patty's story. He lied to the police. He claimed Diane drugged him and escaped to attack Jack. Now that Jack has named Patty as the attacker, Markham's entire web of lies is going to unravel too. I cannot wait to see the police show up at his weird fortress of a clinic and drag him out in handcuffs. He deserves to rot in a cell, right next to Patty. He enabled a psychopath and almost let an innocent woman go to prison for the rest of her life. And we really need to have a serious conversation about Victor Newman's role in all of this. Because let us not forget how this entire nightmare started. Victor is the one who funded Patty Williams' return to Genoa City. Victor is the one who used Patty to drug Jack on that abandoned yacht to ruin Jack's marriage. Victor literally armed a severely mentally ill woman and pointed her directly at the Abbott family just to win a corporate war. If Victor had not brought Patty back, Jack never would have been stabbed. Jack's blood is on Victor's hands just as much as it is on Patty's. I am so anxious to see how Nikki Newman is going to react when she finds out the truth. Nikki is recovering from her own major brain tumor surgery, and Victor has been trying to isolate her at the ranch to keep her in the dark. But the truth always comes out in Genoa City. When Nikki finds out that her husband is the reason her dear friend Jack was brutally stabbed and almost died, she is going to lose her mind. I predict this is going to be the final nail in the coffin for Victor and Nikki's marriage. There is no coming back from this kind of collateral damage. I am totally here for Nikki dumping Victor and maybe even teaming up with Jack to take him down. And while we are talking about the Abbotts, can we just take a second to talk about Billy Abbott? Because Billy is completely spiraling out of control while his brother is lying in a hospital bed fighting for his life. Jill Abbott just returned to town and dropped the absolute bomb that Kane Ashby is the new CEO of Chancellor Industries. Billy is losing his mind over it. He is so consumed by his jealousy and his need to prove himself to Jill that he is literally backstabbing Sally Spectra and leaking her business plans. I mean, Billy, your brother was just stabbed by a crazy person and almost died. Maybe you should focus on your family instead of throwing a temper tantrum over a corporate chair. It is so frustrating to watch Billy self-destruct when the Abbotts need to be sticking together, but that is classic Billy, right? He always makes the worst possible choices at the worst possible times. I just hope he snaps out of it and gets to the hospital to support Jack before he ruins his relationship with Sally forever. I also have to give a huge shout out to Michael Baldwin and Traci Abbott. Michael was fighting tooth and nail for Diane in that interrogation room. He knew Patty was the real culprit, and he was trying so hard to build reasonable doubt, while Christine Blair Romalotti was acting like a brick wall. Christine's bias against Diane is so ancient and annoying, I was yelling at her to open her eyes. And Traci, sweet Traci, she has been the rock of the Abbott family through all of this. She suspected Patty was up to no good from the moment she saw her with Dr. Markham at the Park Cafe. Traci has been through her own psychological torture with that psycho Martin Laurent, so she knows a manipulator when she sees one. Seeing Traci and Michael's faith in Diane finally validated by Jack's testimony was just the icing on the cake. Okay, back to the point. Jack's recovery. Yes, the truth is out, and Patty is in custody, but Jack is not out of the woods yet. He lost a massive amount of blood. He had to have emergency surgery. He was almost injected with a toxic chemical. His body has been through absolute hell. The doctors are still warning about the potential for long-term physical damage. This is not going to be a situation where Jack just hops out of bed next week and goes back to running JBot. He is going to have a long, painful road to recovery. But at least he will have Diane and Kyle by his side to help him heal, without the looming threat of Patty Williams hiding in the shadows. Plus, Ashley Abbott is coming back to town. I am so hyped for Eileen Davidson to return to the screen. Ashley is going to hit Genoa City like a Category 5 hurricane when she finds out what happened to her brother. Ashley never lets anyone hurt Jack and get away with it. With Patty behind bars, I have a strong feeling Ashley is going to turn her wrath directly toward Victor Newman. The Abbott family is going to unite like never before, and it is going to be an epic family war. I am so ready for the drama. I am just so emotionally drained from this episode, you guys. The writers really put us through an emotional meat grinder this week. From the terror of the stabbing, to the frustration of the police investigation, to the absolute triumph of Jack waking up and pointing the finger at Patty. It was soap opera perfection, I kinda want to rewatch the episode right now just to see Patty's face fall all over again. It was that good. So, what do you guys think? Are you as relieved as I am that Jack didn't have long-term amnesia? Do you think Patty is going to end up in prison or back in Fairview? And how long until the police trace all of this back to Victor Newman? Let me know because I need to talk about this with people who actually understand my obsession.